Hello, and a huge welcome to The Content, the podcast discussing all things sport. Today marks the first episode of a two-part series titled Released, Where Do I Go From Here?, in which two individuals who have both been through the process of being released from a professional football club, sharing their personal experiences, which will be shared with you. The reason behind this idea is to raise awareness on the topic in light of the devastating news brought to our attention in October last year. 17-year-old academy product from Manchester City, Jeremy Whiston, had sadly taken his own life once being released. The tragedy speaks volumes that help and conversation is imperative on this subject, as thousands of young players that go through this process must be able to realise that there is a future and that there is hope. And I'm glad to say, to kick things off and to share his story today with us is Reece Ford, the former professional footballer who decided to take a bit of a career switch on the back of being released, which turned out to be rather successful. Reece, great to have you on the show. First and foremost, how have you been and how has the pandemic been treating you?
Yes, man, glad to be on the show. Wow, I've been all right, to be fair. Obviously, I've been finding it difficult, probably like everyone else, really. But the things that's just helped me really is I've been doing loads of exercise. I feel like that helps me most mentally, and that's kind of like my therapy and has been keeping me sane really throughout all three lockdowns.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's what it is really, isn't it? Just finding something that will just keep you going. So we'll start at the beginning then. If I'm not mistaken, you were an Arsenal fan growing up, and I said at the top of the show that you made a good decision at the end of being released, but this one doesn't seem like a good decision, does it?
Nah, well, yeah, literally since I was, as soon as I can remember really, about 5 or 6, my earliest football memories was watching the Arsenal's Invincibles team, like the likes of Thierry Henry, Pires, Vieira, that kind of era. And yeah, Henry was my idol. I used to love everything about him, really. I always remember the boots he wore, the white and gold, Vapors. And yeah, that was like my earliest memories of football.
So it's clear to see that that's probably what sparked the love for you. How did it all begin then at Coventry City for you?
Yeah, well, I joined Coventry Jaguar, like my Sunday League club, around 5 or 6, but pretty much straight away I was training at Coventry City like once a week from around the same age. But back then you couldn't sign officially until I think it was under 9. So I played for Cov Jag for about 2 to 3 years, from about 6 to 8, and we had a really good team at the time. We was winning all the tournaments, won the Coventry League, going the whole season unbeaten. And yeah, there was loads of scouts that was coming to watch our team. The likes of Coventry, Villa, Leicester, Forest, all the big clubs, and quite a few of them invited me to go train at the time. But I only trained at Aston Villa for a few training sessions, and then obviously I was training at Cov throughout the whole time, and then it kind of got to under 9s and I had to make a decision which one to sign the contract with. And then I think purely at the time I was training more at Coventry, so I had more friends there, and obviously literally it was around the corner from my house, so my mum and dad didn't have to travel far to take me to training. So in the end, yeah, I just chose Coventry and then went up through the ranks from there.
Yeah, and I think if I'm not mistaken, you spent over a decade at Coventry City. Reflecting on your time there, what does Coventry City mean to you then?
I think this is a kind of difficult question, really. Obviously, it's my hometown club. I was born here, and like you said, yeah, I spent over a decade at the club. I made some great memories, met some great people, met my best friends through the club, the likes of Jack Hickman, Tom Bayliss. I'm still quite close with quite a few of the lads as well, around my age group. So yeah, but it's a bit of a sour one because the way it ended, I always remember it mainly for that, really, the way it ended. So I don't really have any affection towards the club, really, because obviously I've been there 14, 15 years. I practically didn't even get a goodbye, and my final year at the club, the way I was treated and stuff, it was so tough, and I'll always remember that.
Yeah, so it's interesting you say that. So it takes us nicely onto the main topic, really, of today's interview. In your own words, then, can you explain what it felt like going through something you never really expected or hoped that would happen to you? When you found out the news you were being released, how did it all come about? And could you just explain your story for us?
Yeah, sure. Well, I actually found out the news when I was in the bath at home around Christmas time. I'll always remember it. Just sat in the bath. I think I was relaxing really, and then I got a call from my agent at the time. He just kind of broke the news to me that the club wouldn't be offering me a new contract that summer coming up. And yeah, but it was one of them where I knew from the first day of pre-season that I wouldn't be my deal wouldn't be getting renewed the following season, purely because just that summer the head of recruitment at the club changed over the summer, and he brought in a load of new players. And from the first day, really, I knew there's me and a few other lads that we wouldn't really be getting a chance. But throughout that season, really, it was probably the toughest mentally I'd experienced in my life. I'd never really experienced any kind of like setbacks or anything, or any big sacrifices, because of like most of the lads were like all from all other ends of the country. They had to leave home and stuff. But obviously for me, I lived like 2 minutes from the training ground. So, but yeah, that season was so tough mentally. There was times where like I wasn't even playing in the 23s team. I was playing no football. I wouldn't even make this 23 squad, and I had to go and train with the 18s. And when you know how much talent you've got, and you see it going to waste. It's hard, really.
Yeah, I can only imagine. So it's clear to see, that it was a bit of a roller coaster ride at Coventry, to say the least. But looking back at your time, what would you say was your best memory?
My best memories would probably be when I was in the youth team. When I was like 2 years in the youth team when I left after leaving school. I say the main one would be the Arsenal game in the FA Youth Cup. Obviously, we had a great run to get to the last 16 out of the whole competition, beating like some good teams along the way, beating the likes of Stoke and Charlton, who like Stoke were in the Premier League at the time. They had a good academy, and then going on to the Arsenal game, playing at the Rico for the first time in front of I think it was about 2,000 fans, and then give it Arsenal, the team at the time was they had loads of good players. And to take them to penalties was a great achievement. And I think the way it happened as well was it was 2-1 going into the last minute of extra time. And then when we scored, it was unbelievable scenes. It was right in the last minute of extra time. And then the penalties, we actually should have won, actually. We had the chance to win it, but unfortunately one of the lads missed, and then they went on to win the penalties. But as being an Arsenal fan, it was a great experience. And then also, my probably other good memory was in my second year in the youth team. We won the league, and like at the time, that was a massive achievement. It was great. We had a wicked team at the time. We was winning every week. I think we beat Cardiff 7-1, and then beat Colchester 9-0 the week after. And it was probably the happiest times I was playing football, really.
So, as I said, we've just spoke about there your happiest times, and then to obviously go through being released and the pressures mentally. Would you say, obviously, after what happened, that you fell out of love with the game?
Yeah, well, it's definitely looking back on it now, it's a bit of a mad experience, because I'd say the year, that period, my last year at the club, like how tough it was mentally, but then the 6 months after being released, it was probably even tougher. Like it was kind of like a reality check, really. Like you don't really get any help or support. Like I didn't really have much support at the time, and like looking back on it now, I was making like wrong decisions purely because my head was all over the place, really. It's tough.
Yeah, I can imagine, and as you've just mentioned there a little bit, you felt essentially alone, and to go through something like that at so young, it's such a hard thing to get your head round. So obviously, once you've processed sort of being released, did you see any other pathway besides playing football initially?
Not initially, no. I was just trying to find another club at the time, like thinking, just focusing on trying to find another club. But the only real pathway I looked at when I remember leaving school, and I remember thinking I want to get into fitness. If I didn't get any pro contracts after my time in the youth team, I was thinking I'd want to go into fitness, do like personal training, be a fitness instructor, that kind of thing. But not initially. After when I left, I wasn't really thinking about just anything other than football.
Yeah. So from being a footballer to then becoming a model, I mean, they're not too bad of a choice to come from. But what inspired that switch, and how did it all come about?
It's a kind of weird one, really. Like I'd never really, like growing up, wanted to be a model and stuff. But after leaving Coventry, loads of my friends were just kind of egging me on to do it and stuff, and like family and friends. And then I thought it was. I remember seeing like a few of the lads and stuff on like online and stuff, and thought, yeah, it looks cool, to be fair. So I thought, yeah, I might as well give it a go.
And then you never look back by the seams of things. You've already experienced some fantastic opportunities with modelling. Is there any particular shoot or modelling opportunity that sticks out as your favourite so far?
Yeah, the one that sticks out the most, probably my favourite one, was the JD shoot, the shoot I did with JD Sports. Yeah, like it was a kind of a crazy feeling at the time. I remember waking up and going on the website and seeing my face like all over the website. Like it was a crazy feeling, and yeah. But I think people don't realise how people always think like models and stuff, they don't work hard. But I remember, obviously, I'd done a few shoots before the JD shoot, but this was kind of like my first big one. And I remember getting there and stuff, and like I didn't realise how many outfits that actually had to do during a day. So like during a standard day, you have to do like 40 to 50 outfits, do like loads of different poses, loads of different facial expression. You have to do a video after every outfit. So you do like a mini photo shoot with the outfit, and then you have to go off into another place, do a video for it, and then come back and change again. So it's actually quite tiring, actually. But seeing myself on the website would like made up for all like the hard work.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm glad you actually said that one, to be honest, because before, obviously, I was making my notes and stuff for this interview, and I was going through your tweets. And I remember seeing it at the time, actually. It was something along the lines of, we used to wear the JD bags to school, and now we're on the site. And I mean, as you've said, it must just be so crazy to, be on a website, which you probably most likely, as we all did, look through to buy things and stuff. And now you're the one modeling the things for other people to buy. I mean, it sounds incredible. I mean, especially that morning you said you woke up and you just seen Reece Ford everywhere. It must have been great.
Yeah, like you said, I always remember going to school with. I remember, obviously I had my normal backpack, but I remember like on the days we had PE and stuff, always used to put my PE kit. We used to be like a JD Sports bag, and I'd fill all my stuff with that. So yeah, that I always remember that. And then to be like 10 years later, actually on the website modeling stuff, it was kind of a bit of a surreal moment, really.
Yeah, definitely. So if you could give any advice to any player going through the process of being released, what would you say?
I'd say, I think the first one mainly for me would make sure you've got a good agent at the time. That's something I regret now looking back, because you could have like all the talent in the world, but if you can't showcase it anywhere, you ain't got any opportunities to showcase your talent, then you're going to find it tough to find another pro team. So that would be the first one mainly for me. And then I seen a stat the other day, actually, and it said 0.012% of academy players make it into like established like first team professional players. So that's the reality of football at the end of the day. Like it's a business at the end of the day, and there's so much politics and stuff that goes on behind the scenes that no one really knows about. And then so I'd always say make sure you've got other interests outside football. because at the end of the day, I think every player, you need to have at least have a backup plan in your head, something else that interests you. And also for me, like at the time, like you said, it's so tough mentally, and you need to have people around you that you can speak to. So for me, luckily, when I was going through it, about a few other lads in my team was going through the exact same process as me. And I think just talking to them and going through it together helped me massively, because there's not many people, like, I didn't realise how tough it was mentally until I went through it. So like looking back and I'd see people getting released, I'd think, I wouldn't really think anything of it. But when you actually go through it yourself, you realise how tough it actually is.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Reece, I wish we could chat all day, but thanks a lot for the insight from your perspective. I think, especially myself, I've really learned a lot from, you know, the process and just the fact that there is still hope beyond football, if obviously it doesn't go your way. Thanks a lot for sharing your story, as I've said, and, you know, showing that if you do put your mind into anything, it can be achieved. Good luck with the modelling and whatever else the future has in store for you.
No worries, man. It was a pleasure telling my story, and I hope people enjoy listening.
Thanks again, Reece, and thanks to everyone who has watched the first episode of Released. Where do I go from here? You can keep up to date with everything by following this podcast on Instagram for more content by The Content. Stay safe, everyone, and thanks again.